Boom, hello, and welcome to the Protector Nation podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to making the world a better place, making the world a safer place by making good people dangerous. In this podcast, we're going to study and understand what it takes to protect your family, to protect your loved ones, because we all know that you have a few basic needs, food, water, and shelter, but you also have the need to protect those things in a world and society where evil runs rampant and is sometimes left unchecked. Learning how to protect yourselves and your loved ones is becoming more and more important. And so we strive to raise the level of accountability to those who would do evil on this planet by making sure that the sheep, that the flock, is more well-versed in protecting themselves and their loved ones. If that sounds interesting to you, then sit back and enjoy the show. Out.
Boom! What's going on, you guys? Byron Rodgers here for another episode of the Protector Podcast. This one's going to be, they're all special, but this one I'm extremely excited about. I got my main man here, Remi Adeleke. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, brother Byron. Thanks for having me on, man. I love tracking with you on social media and all that you do, bro. So this is an honor and a blessing to be hanging with you for a bit.
No, man, for sure. It's an honor for me too, man. It's an honor for me too. Man, I mean, the first thing on the top of my mind, and for those of you who just are getting acquainted with my man Remi here, NSW, he was a SEAL for a bit. He's done, he's been in some movies. You guys may have seen him in Transformer. Which Transformers was that?
Oh, The Last Night.
Yeah, The Last Night. Let's see. He's been around showbiz, and then are you like directing a movie or something like that?
Yeah, I directed a movie now. I directed a movie that is going out to festivals now. It's actually it's a human trafficking piece.
Outstanding. So he's in that fight. Clothing company, some apparel coming down the line.
Yeah, I started was it the first week of Father's Day? The Father's Day weekend, we launched an apparel company called Kejo. I would have it on right now, but just finished working out. But yeah, it's about be the inspiration, motivation, and education. We're putting quotes and certain things on the shirt so that way people, if they're walking down the street and they're feeling down and they look up and they see somebody with a shirt that has something specific on it that speaks to their situation, and they get that inspiration and motivation. So that's the idea behind the company. And it's taken a lot of my life experiences and a lot of the lessons I've learned over the course of my career in the SEAL teams and just in business in general, and putting them into the apparel.
Which is just awesome, because the people who are wearing the clothes, they are being the inspiration. It's genius, man. I love it. I dig it, and then your book transformed, bro. This book transformed my man. Like, I read the book, and I'm a serial audio book dude. Thank you for making it an audio book, bro, because I'm an infantry dude. I mean, I got some degrees, but that was like going to war for me, and so the audiobook piece was nice. And dude, this book was like one of the most gripping books. If it's like top 3 most gripping books I listened to this year, as a testament to that. I legitimately listened to it while I was at the gym. To me, that when I'm like in the gym and I'm like, yo, let me listen to this book right quick, that's how you know the book's fire. Because in the gym, you got to listen to like your monster music or your battle rap, something that gets you going.
Something that hypes you up.
Yeah, man. So I was like in there, like going through, buds with you and all this stuff. And it was an amazing book, man. So y'all listening need to go check out Transformed. Because that book blew my mind, man.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, man. Yeah, it took a lot of work to bring that book together, man. I wrote every word of it. I had a lot of challenges with my publisher. They didn't want the book to be what it was. They wanted the book to be half the size that it was, that it is, excuse me. They wanted to take out all the cursing. They wanted to kind of water down the story. And I just, stood my ground, and the story is what it is now. So yeah.
And that takes balls, man, and the grace of God. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's a big gamble. That's playing big boy.
So my publisher had told me, man. They said, one person, like the vice president or the president of the publishing house that I was under HarperCollins, told me. They said, we don't believe in this book, and they said, this was halfway through the writing process. They said, she said, here's what I'll do, because I got like a really, really large advance, 275,000 advance. And so they said, here's what we're going to do. You will only have to pay back $80,000 of your advance if you scrap the book and don't move forward. She said, but if you don't listen and you don't take that offer, and I don't like the book, and you're in breach of contract in any way, I'm gonna make you pay back every dollar of it. My advice to you is you take my first offer. And I said, come on, you don't know who you're dealing with, man. So
Man,
I was like, there's no quit in me. So I was like, I'm gonna write it and I'm gonna make you love it. And so I finished writing it, turned it in 3 days early. I have the email on my I keep a screenshot of it on my phone, but she read it. She's just like, I'm so surprised. Like, the book's amazing. She was just like, I didn't think you would pull it off. She was like, I'm so glad that you stood your ground and kept on writing, because you're a great storyteller and a great writer. And so I was like, yeah, she had to eat crow. You know what I mean?
My man, it's so good. It's so good. I love seeing you win, dude. I love it, man. And I love, well, and then this comes with it. It just does now, being a Black man, out here representing, contributing, being an example of what you can do from where you're from, like you're from the hood, and the other thing, but while still on that topic for a second, but being a Black man, contributing, representing, having a family, keeping the family together, having success, being from all the stuff you're from, no excuses. That means the world to me, man.
Yeah.
What you say about that stuff?
Nah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no excuses, man.
And no quit.
My mom, my mom instilled that in me, man. It's just like you can't if something goes south, it's not anybody's fault but yours. Like, if there's one person that you can control on this planet, that's you. Can't run around blaming this, blaming that, blaming your environment, blaming the white man, blaming all this other stuff. My mom hated that. You know what I mean? Yeah. She, like, you have to get after it. You can't have an excuse. You can't say, oh, I don't have a dad. I don't have this. You know what I mean? My mom she's still gangster, man. Like, she doesn't.
No, that's huge, man. And I think, because I was raised the same exact way. And maybe it's the immigrant thing, because my parents are Bahamian, like, they don't care, man. They ain't trying to hear it. It's like, you're going to have to be twice as smart. You're going to have to be twice as strong to get half as much respect. And that's the situation. So be twice as smart, So and there was just no, I couldn't cry about nothing, So I really want to honor you for that. And I want everybody to know, read that book, see where my man came from, man. What was it like? I mean, we haven't even gotten to the main questions, but just a little background about your upbringing and stuff. Where you've come.
Yeah, so I was born in Nigeria. My dad was a super wealthy, well-known Nigerian engineer, philanthropist, businessman. He owned a bunch of businesses. He had car dealerships. He had art galleries. He had, but his main business was in engineering. He had a big engineering consulting business. And so because of his success, by the time I was born into that wealth. So we traveled the world. We had cars, nannies, drivers. We lived on a compound. We had security. We had horses. We lived and the compound was on this island in Lagos called Victoria Island, which is where some of the most wealthy people in Nigeria lived. But unfortunately, fast forward, the Nigerian government stripped my father of his most valuable asset. Most of his wealth was wrapped up in it, millions of dollars. And my dad died shortly after. And so we were from rich to poor. And my mother, being an American, she met my dad in New York, because she was a New Yorker, and they got married 5 months later, and then she moved to Africa with him. She, when my dad died, she permanently relocated us back to the Bronx, New York. So, I grew up, in the Bronx. It was rough. It's the 80s, the crack epidemic, drugs every corner. Yeah.
It's statistically, real quick, sorry to cut you off.
You're good. Yeah.
I'll be doing research for my products and for my live events. So I got to know crime statistics, so I can, like, right now the world is so dangerous and you should come to our training event, right? But the thing is, the 80s, was like almost twice as dangerous as far as crime as it is right now in America in terms of violent crime per hour. The 80s was seriously a lot more dangerous, actually.
Wow. And not only did you have like the drug wars and, turf wars when it came to drugs, gangs started, becoming a thing. Because I don't remember, I mean, gangs were a thing, but like they just really started blowing up at that time. And then on top of that, you had the mafia, so which was like a lot of people don't know, the mafia ran a lot of New York, and I remember being a kid going into local bodegas or local stores and seeing the Italian mob dudes come in their suits and collect the tax from they call it a tax, right? They collected money from the storefront owners and they walked out, so that was, bodies would come up missing. There was a guy in my building, he was involved in the mob. He owned like a big club and gym right down the street, not gym, but a club / restaurant right down the street from my building. And nobody ever found his body. You know what I mean? So it was crazy, man. It was crazy. It was, it was wild.
Yeah, man. Nah, so, to come from that and then to create what you've created, and since then, you've done the things that we spoke about at the beginning of the call, it's miraculous to me, and it's an honor to be connected with you. One of the things that blew me away about the book is just the parallels, man. I got my father, was said to be one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the Bahamas at a time, When I moved to the US, I with my mom, I got to figure it out. I'm like, ask dad for something for Christmas. He's like, I get you a computer for you to do your homework. I'm like, come on, dad, anyway, but the parallels were so amazing. And then even with, the success I've had, it's all been by the grace of God, because I've done my best to be as legit and hardcore as I can, but
100%.
It ain't never good enough.
God's favor, man.
Yes.
His favor, guidance, and I tell people all the time, God gives us wisdom, and the issue is we, a lot of times we don't choose to use that wisdom. You know what I mean? If we use that wisdom, then that leads to success. If we don't use that wisdom, then that just leads to us bumping our head over and over and over again until we choose to use the wisdom. So, yeah, man, I am not wise by any means. I just tap into the wisdom of the Lord.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, I feel you on that. Who would you say? So, who is Remi Adeleke at his core? Who's the man behind all this stuff?
Remi at his core, I would just say, just relentless. You know what I mean? There is no limits to who I am. That's just how I feel, and I don't say that in a prideful way. I just say that there's always a way to figure it out. That's just a big part of who I am, no matter how dire the situation is. Like, that's a big part of my persona. And I think that comes from my mom, because my mother, she always, bad situations and setbacks and failure were second nature to her. Getting punched in the face proverbially and then getting back up was always second nature to her. And so I grew up with that. I grew up with a woman who, got knocked down 10 times, but got up 11 times. I grew up with a woman that made, made wine out of water, and she would always work hard, work multiple jobs to make things happen. And so in my mind, like as a kid, I was always like, there's nothing is impossible. Because, my mother showed me that, modeled that for me every day of my life. So that's just the core of who I am today. Like nothing is impossible. Like, and that's one thing I try to tell my team, when they say, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. And I'm just like, no, dude, you can do that. There's always a way. You just have to figure out the way. Is it hard? Yes. But you just got to figure out the formula to make it work. In a case in point with my apparel company, my team was, I had so much going on that I didn't realize when Father's Day was. And I was just like, I thought it was like 2 or 3 weeks out. And like, I remember it was a Monday before Father's Day. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's 2, 3 weeks out because I got so much going on that all the days blur together. And I hit up my partner and I was like, hey, dude, I just realized Father's Day is this Sunday. And I was just like, we need to launch the company this Thursday. No, this was this was the Friday, not the Friday before, but like as in like 10 days before Father's Day. So the Friday before the week before Father's Day. And so I was like, we need to launch our apparel company next week. The plan was to launch the apparel company like July 7th, and which is tomorrow. And I was like, no, dude. I said, we can capture, a lot of sales. We could do a lot. We need to launch next week. And he was like, that's impossible, yada, yada, yada. He's like, I need a manufacturer, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, no, it's not impossible. And we did it. And we got tons of sales, you know what I mean? So much that we ran out of inventory, you know what I'm saying? Yep. And so if we had waited until the 7th, we would have lost a lot of the momentum from Father's Day weekend, So, that's just my mindset. Nothing is impossible. There's always a way. You just have to figure out that way. And then sometimes you just have to do the extra hard work, the extra, not just the extra hard work, the extra hard work to accomplish the goal, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't want to do that, but that's just within my nature, because, that comes from my mom. And so that's the core of who I am.
Absolutely. I dig that, man. Relentless. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm the side, man. I see I'm the same way, man. There's just like, even in my house, can't is like a bad word. I don't think for probably the last few years, if someone said can't around me, it's like my head, like I'm kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just work the equation. I was literally talking to my wife last night. I was like, in our house, I'm gonna get a plaque and put it above the door to my office. It says, "Figure it out," because that's one of my favorite things to tell people. No.
Yep.
Figure it out.
Figure it out, man. I get on my team about that all the time. You know what I mean? But it is, a lot of it is, a lot of, obviously, the people that, and this is no fault to the people we work with. They haven't gone through the things that we've gone through that have made us the men that we are today. And it's hard to project that on the people when they haven't been tested and tried like us, right? So it's just like one of those things, like, how do you give them that mindset and, ways through experience and time, or showing them, see, you said we couldn't do it, we did it. See, you said we couldn't do it, we did it. See, you said, like, all right, learn, like, look at the trend here.
No, that's wisdom, y'all. Yeah, I hope y'all listening to that right there. I hope, especially our veterans, man, because that is really what the game is about, is trying to transfer these intangible things that you bring from our background, training, combat, into our teams, into our families, so that we can all live at that level that's possible, man. That's huge. And it's experience and it's example, like you were saying, man, not just preaching.
Yeah, no, doing it. Yeah. And that's something I tell, I've always said, every great leader will never make you do something that they have not done or that they are not willing to do, and, that's, a lot of the stuff that I'm sure you're telling your team, I'm telling my team, are either things that we have done or things that we would 100% be willing to do, because we've done it. We've done, if not that exact thing, a variation of that thing, so.
Absolutely. Probably worse in worse conditions, What would you say, let's dig into a little bit of this of your time in NSW, man. What would you say was your major takeaway or life lesson from that experience, which we may have just been talking about?
Wow. I mean, I had a great time in NSW, man. I had some great deployments, downrange, got after it. I was a humid guy, so, as well as a medic. So I lived best of both worlds. I was the guy that, collected intelligence via running sources and different means of collecting intelligence, and then vetting that intelligence. And then, once it was vetted, I was going down, kicking down, going on DAs with my team, kicking down doors and wrapping up HVTs, so it was just, man, it was just great, man. I mean, it's hard to, as far as takeaways, I mean, every aspect of it was, I apply every day of my life, this concept of, proper leadership, teamwork, nothing can be done without a team. You need a team, know your roles and responsibilities and operate in those roles and responsibilities. I remember I did an augment, and on that deployment, we were in a country where we were the only Americans in that country, and there were 8 operators, 8 SEALs of, I think it was 8 or 9 of us total. And the closest QRF was on another continent. We were working out at an embassy for the most part. And each guy, had to know their role and responsibility, because there were no backups, there were no techs, there were no, another platoon nearby or anything like that. So that's something that I take with me in business, is, whatever your role and responsibility is, you need to know it and you need to operate within it. Because if you don't, that can affect the mission that can affect the entire team, and that can affect the mission in a negative way. So that was another big takeaway. Communication. There was so much I learned about communication, especially, running sources and having to confirm information, because, the information I'm receiving, if I don't confirm that it's what I believe that I'm hearing, then, I could pass that on. It could lead to a bad situation. It could lead to walking into an ambush or whatever the situation may be. And so, that was another big takeaway. And then, kind of like what I said earlier, my mom really instilled in me this idea that I could do anything as long as I put my mind to it, just being relentless. But the SEAL teams really tested that, and then and took that to a whole nother level, especially after getting through SEAL training. You already know my story with SEAL training, my journey there. I won't give it away, but yeah, after going through Hell Week, it's just like I could do anything. And then after you make it through SEAL training, and then SQT is like, man, I could do anything. You go to a whole another level of I could do anything. And then once you get downrange and you're actually operating, then it's like, no, when you go to the ULT, which is training. And Jocko was a guy who ran part of our ULT, so he hammered our.
Yes, I love Jocko, man.
That dude was not. He would kill half the platoon. It's 130 degrees outside. You're carrying half your platoon out of a firefight, shooting at the same time, dude. You like hell on him, dude. It's horrible, bro. And
I can only imagine, man.
Yeah, and he's screaming at dudes like, "You're supposed to be a SEAL." He's literally. Dude, a lot of people think, oh, that's just an actor who Jocko is and this podcast and all that stuff. And it's like, no, that's who he is, bro. For real, he's a hard dude, and he's like, he wants to pull the best out of everybody. He's always been that way, which is something I respect. So you get through stuff like that, and it's just like, yeah, I could do that I could do anything goes to another level. And then you get downrange, you're actually operating, and you're going in situations where, it's a 16-man platoon, 8 guys are ground force, another 8 guys are vehicles, and, 6 guys are vehicles. And it's just like, you're going into a situation where, you're completely outnumbered, but it's just like, hey, this is what we do. This is who we are. And so all of those experiences, now have reinforced this idea that I could do anything, that I could do anything. I could be anything. If I want to launch an apparel company, I'm gonna launch an apparel company. If I want to write a book, I could write a book. If I want to write a movie, if I want to direct a movie, I could do it. Why? Because I've done a lot of things. I've done a bunch of other things that are way harder,
Yep. No, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Play your position, communicate. Yeah. And I can do anything, man. That's some big takeaways, man. That's huge stuff, man. That's huge stuff. So switching gears a little bit, man, listening to your book and the values and watching the transformation that you went through, ultra valuable. What would you say? And I respect you a lot as a man, like the things that I've been seeing and learning and listening to, and the things I know about you, I think it's really encouraging. What would you say, your definition of a man is, and how did you arrive at that definition?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. My definition of a man is one who takes responsibility for his actions. I think that's that covers a lot.
That's where it starts, man. That's the game. That's the Garden of Eden, man. You know what I'm saying?
100%, man. 100%. I'm dealing with a situation right now where I won't go into all the details, but I was working with a guy on a project. He made a massive mistake, huge mistake. And, he is not taking responsibility for that mistake. And he's so embarrassed by it that he's lied to himself and he's lied to other people about and shifted the blame to other people instead of taking the responsibility. And you know, now it's almost turning into a legal situation because he's trying to cover up that mistake. And it's almost like, you know, they say about compulsive liars is, you know, they lie so much that they believe their lie.
They genuinely believe that. Yeah.
This dude believes, and we have all of the evidence. I mean, we have files and files and files of evidence saying this is you, this is what you did. This is not everybody else. This is you. This is what you did.
Myself, right over here,
and it's all there.
Oh man.
And you know, I was on a call with him the other day, and he was just like, well, the only time it was messed up was when so-and-so was handling this, or when so-and-so wasn't there. And I said to him, I said, well, dudes, you know, 95 so-and-so only handled this particular situation 2 out of 200 times.
Yeah,
so like, you want to shift the blame to him, you can shift it to him out of those, you know, the
2% of the blame.
But the other 198 times I was all you, and here's all the evidence. Like, this is like, you know, and it's just, you know, but he's a young kid, you know what I mean? He hasn't been tested, you know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where it's like when you're young, you know, and it's just, you know, you're taught a different way, you're brought up a different way.
Yeah, you're really locked into those real masculine traits.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, that's a big, you know, that's what makes a man, one who takes responsibility. And then, you know, that, like I said, that covers a lot of things. Like if you have a child, you know, take responsibility as a man, and you take care of your child. Yeah. You know what I mean? I never understand how a man can make a child and then not take care of that child.
I'm with you on that.
You know, marriage, you know what I mean? Like faithfulness when it comes to marriage and all of those things, you know, it's like, take responsibility. You know what I mean? If you feel like you're going to be in a situation that's going to be tempting and you're going to fall into, you know, you're going to be unfaithful to your wife with another woman, then, you know, take responsibility and cut the situation off at the root. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, again, I could go on examples after example, but essentially the root of it is, you know, a man is somebody who takes responsibility of his or her actions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So no, I think that's so huge.
Exactly.
When I think more deeply about the words take responsibility, like there may be a lot of components and a lot of people involved and a lot of whatever could have, he, she, it, we, but the reality of the game is that man shows up and he takes that responsibility with it, you know. There's 8 people involved in this thing. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back to where I could have changed something and I'm gonna figure out what I could have changed. I'm gonna make sure it goes smoothly next time, you know.
Exactly.
It's beautiful, man, and it takes a strong person to do that, and I think that's why that's the masculine role, you know.
100%.
That's huge, man. What would you any advice, you know, because you lost your father at a young age, any advice to you know, dudes growing up out there without their fathers, you know? The family unit's been under attack here in America, you know, for a while. So, you know, what would you say to the dudes growing up and having to figure it out on their own?
That's a good question. I would just say, you know, find those positive role models. I mean, really vet who those role models are, and ask yourself, you know, is this who I want to be? You know, is this who I really want to be?
Yeah.
And, you know, like from a faith standpoint, for me, you know, as a Christian man, you know, looking back, I wish that I looked to my Heavenly Father, you know, and the guidance of the Lord to teach me how to be a man and to raise me up. You know, I didn't in my later years, and that had a huge effect on me as you know, that really helped me become a father. It helped me be a husband. You know what I mean? Looking to the Bible and looking to examples of Jesus and who he was and how he was as a man and how he treated people and how he was a father and how, you know, he always was compassionate with children and how he was, you know, he rebuked the religious leaders, but he was opening and accepting the son. Like that became Jesus. Essentially taught me how to be a man and taught me how to be a father and a husband and you know, and so from a faith standpoint, I would say that that's my number one answer. For people who are just like, well, I'm not a Christian, I'm not, you know, I respect that. You know, my big thing is, okay, then find somebody positive, somebody who people look up to for the right things. You know what I mean? Somebody who is admirable, somebody who, and the best example of this is somebody who you would want to marry your mom.
Ooh, that's
right?
a curveball. Yeah, that's
Somebody who you would want to marry your mom, because if you look at it from that perspective, then you're going to X out a lot of people. You're going to X out a lot of rappers. You're going to X out a lot of dudes.
like not Scarface. Like not, yeah.
Like you're going to X out a lot of people because you're going to say to yourself, like, who would I want to marry my mom? And you want somebody to marry your mom who's going to be admirable, who's going to be stand up, who's going to be respectful, and who's going to take care of your mom. And if that's that's the type of person you need to be looking to as an example and as a mentor. And you know, same thing is you know, if you're older, because you know, I talk to a lot of guys who are older and they say, you know, I never had a dad in my life and I'm struggling to this and I'm struggling to that. Like, how do I find it? Then, you know, I can't mentor every single person. I just don't have the latitude. But what I do try to tell guys, you know, I try to, you know, do inspirational, motivational stuff on social media and put out videos and stuff like that. But, you know, that's the best way I can do it. That's my shotgun approach. But, you know, for like a grown man or older man, you know, looking to find somebody to mentor them or teach them how to be a man is, you know, who would you want to marry your daughter? Yeah. That's a whole nother, like the man that you would say, okay, I would be okay with that guy marrying my daughter if I had a daughter. Yeah. You know, or I do have a daughter, like that's the kind of guy I'm gonna look to.
Yeah, that's
like,
my thing, man.
I got a daughter, you know what I mean? So if I was seeking after a mentor, like that's something I'm thinking about. Like, and like would I want this guy if he was of the appropriate age and my daughter was of the appropriate age? Is this the type of guy I would want marry my daughter?
Yeah, 100%. No, that's money. And then two, to jump on top of that, the Jesus piece, man, because you know, we're both warriors. You know, I grew up in church though, and I grew up as a warrior in church. Yeah. And I remember feeling some displacement and being like, well, Jesus is like this nice, sweet, like hippie dude, you know. And I remember being like, I can't connect to this, you know. And I remember being and looking at the dudes in church being like, I can't connect to these cats. They soft, man, you know. But I say read the Bible for yourself.
100%.
Read the Gospels for yourself, because a lot of religious stuff out there is like weaponized. Like it's like kind of castrated. Yeah. You know, because when you really read Jesus, the way he handles his business in the marketplace, and the disciples, you know, where they're like scared to even like bring it up to Jesus because they're like, yo, man, like I think we messed up. Who's gonna tell Jesus? Like Jesus was a man's man. He brought authority, you know, and out of that strength, you can also bring compassion. And so, you know, I don't want you just thinking he's like the Jesus is my homeboy shirt. Kind of along. That's not really actually what it's like. Read the Gospel for yourself.
Yeah, that's through a Western lens. I have a whole message I preach on that, you know, and so, you know, it's because you know, I do reference the marketplace, but I mean, even going past that, like, you know, looking at his job, you know, we've westernized everything, and so through a Western lens, we call him a carpenter. Right. So, like the Western definition of a carpenter is like somebody who does woodwork and
like a woodworker. Yeah.
Essentially, he wasn't a carpenter. He was a stonemason, because when you go to Israel, you see that there's stone. Everything's made of stone. And so like literally he was chiseling stone. He was making chairs out of stone and tables out of stone. So he was a stonemason. So he was carrying stone around. That, you know, he was brittle, he was strong, you know. So even that, you know, him being a stonemason, you know, that adds that element. Then you look at the story when he passed through the crowd, and a lot of people always say, oh, well, he mysteriously, like that was vanished. He's like, no, he didn't vanish. No, literally, like he bucked up and and was like, no, I'm walking. And he walked through the crowd, you know what I mean? And I bet that I could see him, you know, people being so shook of him that, you know, because he was just like, I ain't playing with you no more. Get out of my way.
Right.
You walk through, and then you look at, you know, the cross and, you know, stuff he endured, you know, like, you know, having, even before going to the cross, being dehydrated and sleep deprived and, you know, torn apart and, you know, still carrying that takes a strong man to do that. You know what I mean? And then, you know, at any point he could have hit the stop button. You know, he could have called that a legion of angels at any point and stopped everything, you know, and, you know, just like people could ring the bell and buzz anytime and quit, and they do, he could have ring the bell at any time and stopped it all, but he didn't, you know. So that, I mean, there's so many examples of the manhood of Jesus and how he was strong, and he was probably ripped and you know, just not just strong physically, but strong-willed, strong-minded, and not this, you know, like you said, you know, floating on a cloud, soft, you know, hair, you know, corn, you know, nobody can connect to. And I believe it's the enemy. You know, the enemy tries to distort the view of who Jesus is, so that people, especially men, are looking like, oh, I don't want to be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, 100%. Because I think religion has been weaponized to keep us separated from that relationship that it was always supposed to be about. You know, religion's what murdered, what put them on the cross in the first place. You know, so
Exactly.
you know that it separates us from the reality of the relationship we can have. You know,
and then you look at all of the corruption in church.
yeah.
You know what I mean? In America, and, you know, money and people stealing money and people flying private jets, and, you turn on the TV and everybody, oh, God says, give us $1,000. You know,
Right.
that, you know, I hate all that stuff, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not true. You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. I completely understand what you're saying with that, man. You know, I've been there.
Yeah.
Been there, man. No, and it's misrepresentation of what is one of the most valuable and important things we can have. You know, I think people look at your life and they're like, man, wow, you know, how did he do that? And I know that people sometimes look at my life and I haven't done half as much, but they're like, okay, so like how this little dude, how this, you know, boy from the Bahamas execute on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, which leads me into my next piece here, man. So what's up with this voice that got you in the military, man? How'd that?
Yeah.
What role has that voice played in your life, man? Talk about that a little bit,
Yeah,
or maybe tell the story a little bit so people understand what happened, and then.
Yes, no, 100%. So yeah, I was in. This was 2002. I had kind of walked away from selling drugs and hustling and doing some of the stuff I was doing, cell phone scams and all that. And I got involved in the situation, turned bad. And so for 6 months I did nothing. And then, in June I was in bed and just waking up. It was the morning, laying there, and I heard this voice speak to me. At the time, I thought it was my subconscious, but it was a very prominent voice. Sat up in the bed, looked around, and didn't see anybody. Thought maybe it was something from out the window, somebody yelling or talking out the window. Then there was nobody there. And that voice was just like, you need to get out of here. You need to join the military. And I just remember just battling with the voice because that was totally contrary to who I was. But after looking around my room and seeing what my life had amounted to, which was pretty much nothing at that 19, about to turn 20, I pretty much said, screw it, why not? I have nothing else going for myself. Let me just see what this is, even though it's not what I want to do, let me see what's out there. And thank God I obeyed that voice, because I went to the Marine Corps recruiter's office first. There was nobody. Sat there for 15 minutes, nobody there. Then went into the Navy recruiter's office. There was a gorgeous Navy recruiter in there named Tiana Reyes. And
kind of, what's up, girl? What's up?
I tried to mac on her.
Let me holler.
Yeah. Tried to throw my New York game at her. And there's more to the story, but in short, I had warrants out for my arrest. And she when she ran my background, she found that out. I didn't know that. And she went and instead of turning me in, she took me to the judges the next day and advocated on my behalf to expunge my record, and then, so that I can get into the military. And both judges expunged my record, and she went a step further and fudged the paperwork to sneak me into the Navy. And that's how I got in. And I always look back to that voice, because if I didn't obey that voice at that moment in time, what would have happened? I could have walked into the recruiter's office a day later, and it could have been a different recruiter in there. It could have been and I could have walked in the Marine Corps office, and the recruiter could have been in there. He could have ran my background, found the warrants, and blacklisted me. And I say that because I have I get DMs on social media all the time from kids, adults to say, you know, I made this mistake when I was a teenager. I got this misdemeanor, or I got this warrant, whatever the case may be. And I went to the recruiter and I'm in the system now, but I can't join because I've already been listed as somebody with a record. And I've tried everything. I've tried to get letters from my senator, my congressman, all that. And I get these messages like literally almost every month. And, you know, people ask me, they say, you know, what did you do? Like, how did you do it? And I just say, you know, I just ran into the right person that took a chance on me. And so just thinking and looking at the timing of when that person called me, when I heard that voice, and then going down the street to and going into the Marine Corps recruiter's office and sitting there for 15 minutes and then walking out and meeting Tiana, who did what she did, you know, the odds of that happening if I didn't obey that voice are, you know, slim to none, you know, so. Yeah. And that's been a reoccurring theme in my life, is this idea of, you know, hearing his voice telling me to do something at a particular time. Even like this movie I directed, I was in my office and me and my assistant were we were working on a few projects, Kejo being one. And then like out of the blue, like I heard this voice tell me, you need to direct a movie. What? And I got out of my office because I got all of this stuff going on where I'm writing movies. I'm in the Writers Guild of America, which is the guild for Hollywood screenwriters. I mean, the odds of getting it's easier to get drafted into the MLB than it is to get into the WGA. And so, you know, I got this thing going as a consultant on film and TV stuff. I got my career going as a writer in the WGA. I got all this. And so I was just like, I heard this voice say, you need to direct something, like direct this script. And I was like, yeah, right. I need to do it. And I ran out and I told my assistant, I was like, I'm gonna direct the movie. He's like, what? Like, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna pull it out? I was like, I'm gonna do it. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it. And literally a month later, we're in production in Kansas City, private jets, Arri Alexa cameras, full crew, everything. And everything just started coming together real smoothly. And now, you know, I got a film that's now going to be premiering at some festivals, and it's going to just lead to other things, but it all came from obeying that voice at that particular time, you know. Yeah, which goes back to what I said earlier about the wisdom. You know, it's like, you know, I don't have wisdom, but God will give you wisdom. You know, he gives me that wisdom, and then that leads to this idea. I act on that idea, and then I look like a genius because that idea turned out great, but it wasn't me. You know?
Yeah, man. No, and that's the secret sauce, man. That's the tartar sauce, in my opinion, you know, because when I was listening to the book, that was one of the things that really blew me away, because that's how I've got to where I'm at too, man. Like, honestly, I saved my entire family's life when I was 5 because I heard that voice. And I remember I'm in the Bahamas and I'm about to sleep on the couch, and this voice is like, yo, go sleep in your dad's room. Yeah, I look around and I'm like, yo, looking around, you know, and I'm like, I heard a voice, you know what I mean? So I'm like, and I'm little, I'm raised in church. So I'm like, and I knew it was God, you know, it's the Holy Spirit is with me everywhere I go. And I'm a human. So I start arguing, dude. I'm like, yo, I'm comfortable on the couch. I'm gonna sleep on the couch. Like, I got my blankets and I try to go to bed and he wouldn't let me go to bed, you know, and I hear the voice again, get up, go sleep in your dad's room. So I go sleep in my dad's room, and then the voice comes back, get your sister. And I'm like, yo, you're supposed to know everything. If you know everything, my big sister, like from New York, she like Queen Latifah, like she can beat me up at this time, you know. So I'm like, yo, I can't go get my. You're supposed to know everything, you know. I can't go get her. He's like, go in the living room. I'll tell you what to do. I walk in the living room. Before I can say anything, I snatch the blankets off my sister. She gets cold. She comes in the room, smacks me around, lays down on the floor. I lock the door, go to bed. Long story short, about 5 or 6 dudes break into the house to kill my father, who was running one of the biggest task force in the Bahamas at that time. Wow. I wake up in the middle of the night to them trying to pick the lock. I got boogeyman scared. I'm 5, dude. I'm staring at the lock in front of my face, shaking. This is the Bahamas, man. Like, this is shanty town. Like these cats break in your house, they'll clean your house out in 8 minutes. Nothing was stolen. I wake my dad up. He racks his shotgun. You hear everybody run out the house. And I would have been sleeping on the couch when those hitmen came in the house with my sister, and my dad's door wouldn't have been locked, you know. So, you know, and then I fast forward to Iraq, you know, I hear that same voice, you know, we just got blown up. I read a Bible verse because, like, I didn't get shook in combat. Like, I didn't really experience a lot of fear because I felt protected. But there's one time this mission called Pegasus Bridge. And long story short, we had a hard, like India company was like a hardest company in 3-1 when I was in. Like I didn't even want to be in these.
You were 3-1?
Yeah, I know that was yeah.
Oh, I was 1-4. Yeah.
Okay, 1-4. Okay.
That's Camp Horner. 3-1 is Camp Horner, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I remember they got messed up, man, overnight, and we got sent out there to augment them, to support them. And long story short, man, like we cleared a lot of, one deployment, we cleared over 20 some cities. This was one place we got to where they were like the locals, and you'll know this, like the locals were like, usually they're like, Anna Habibi Marines, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're good, we good, everything's good. And then they try and kill you or something. This was the first time that they were like, you guys look like good dudes, like not for nothing, you guys need to leave. Like they were like straight up telling us like, yo, get out of here, dude, And long story short, we get blown up. I saw it coming, but I couldn't get everyone out of the way. I'm standing there after we get blown up, and I'm standing on top of an IED and I don't know it. I'm standing on top of 2 155s. Wow. And I thought that it had already been expended, but I hear that voice again, like, hey, don't, I see 2 hacksaw blades at my feet, like a pressure plate. So they make these pressure plates. So if the hacksaw blades touch, for everybody listening, it completes the circuit and it goes down to a bomb. I'm standing on top of two of these large explosives designed to blow up tanks. And I hear that voice and it's like, yo, don't push that, pick it up. And I'm like, with my earthly knowledge, I'm like, yo, it's already expended. Like the hole's right here, chill out, But I listen and, I'm not pink mist because of it,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, man. So, and then getting into EP, that same voice told me once again, like, go here, do this, you'll become a bodyguard. Fast forward, I hit 70 countries in my first year as a bodyguard in executive protection at 21. Like that's unheard of.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So for people listening, that relationship with God and the Holy Spirit is so huge, man. And I don't really talk about it much. I'm talking about it with you.
It'll save you a lot of 100%. It saves you a lot of headache. It's funny, I was speaking at a church over the weekend and I was essentially saying the same thing to these young kids, man. It was an adult church, but they allowed all the young kids to come into the service just because they, I was going to be a guest speaker there. And I was telling the kids at the end, I was just, because the pastor was like, what would you say to kids? I was just like, dude, it's just being obedient to the Holy Spirit, just like saves you so much heartache and pain. You got the cheat code. You know what I mean?
The cheat code. That's what it is.
And because if not, you're just going to keep bumping your head and going round and round in circles and going through breakups and hurts and pains and, then you look back and you're just like, why did I do all of that when I had the answer right here?
Yes. Yeah.
I was literally just saying that on Sunday.
Yeah, man. No, that's so true, man. It's the ultimate cheat code, man. As far as like Hollywood, and getting into showbiz and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Has it tested your faith at all? And if so,
No, I haven't had any issues with it because I haven't had issues. I haven't had to compromise. Like, if I get offered a job and I don't want to do it, I just don't do it. You know what I mean? Like the thing is with Hollywood, you can't be desperate. And there's a lot of people in Hollywood who are desperate, whether they're Christian, not Christian, whatever their background may be. And so they're willing to do whatever it takes to get to where they want to be. For me, I've never wanted to be an actor. I still don't have a desire to be an actor. My goal is I want to be a writer and I want to be a writer director. And so because I want to be able to tell stories that I want to tell instead of being, a piece of a story. No offense to people who are a piece of the story. Like, I just want to be the storyteller, not just a piece of the story, like the full on storyteller, because actors are storytellers as well. And so, with that said, like me and my agent in Hollywood, we got a call this morning. We got offered a TV show. And I told them, no, unless they're going to give me X, Y, and Z, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? And it's just a lot of power in being able to say no and being able to say, you know what, I know where my money is going to come from. And, I know the Lord's going to provide. He has. And so I'm not going to be hurting for money if I don't take this job, so I think for me, I haven't had issues because I've been able to say no. And, I've come into the industry with a resume that elicits immediate respect. You know what I mean? So like, working with I've worked with a lot of big actors and directors, and, from Ryan Reynolds to Michael Bay to Peter Berg to Mark Wahlberg to Anthony Hopkins. I'm working with Chris Pratt right now on a TV show. And, and it's just like, the fact that I was a SEAL, and there's not that many African-American SEALs, what I mean? Like, there's only a handful of us. Like, I'm already like respected. Like, they're like, oh, dude, you're a SEAL, you're Black, you're a SEAL. Like, oh man, so it's that automatic respect. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't deal with a lot of the stuff that people just trying to get into the industry deal with. And then even on the writing front, like as a writer, it was a lot easier for me to get representation, and it's easier for me to get in certain rooms because I'm coming from a perspective of a person who has lived what I'm writing, right? So, I wrote about the first group of African Americans to serve in special operations, and what makes it unique is not just the story, but the fact that I'm an African American who served in special operations. So that adds marketing value, so there's certain things that I already come to the table with, and that appeals to Hollywood. So again, I don't deal with a lot of, drama.
That stuff. Yeah, man. And I think the takeaway is it's because you're grounded, in who you are, and where, who your master is, man, where everything's coming from, and I think that can be translated into anyone's everyday life, like don't let your boss, don't let your job, that's not your source. Second that becomes your source, then that's what owns you,
Yeah. And then when the moment you make it your source, like, God will be like, take it away from you to show you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't get caught up in it. If a door closes, a door closes. I've had something, the thing about Hollywood, a lot of people don't realize this, and is like Hollywood as a business is all about rejection. Like every project, I've been rejected so many times, and everybody gets rejected because Hollywood is set up to say no, regardless of your faith background or whatever. And so like, it kills me sometimes when Christians are just like, oh, I'm in Hollywood and man, I'm not getting work because I'm a Christian and this and that and this. And it's just like, not necessarily. You're not getting work because 99% of the people who are trying to get work in a business are not getting work.
Because that's the game you're playing, basically.
Yeah, there's like, I can't remember what the statistic is, but there's like 38, 40, I think it's like 40 or 50,000 scripts are registered with the WGA every year, movie scripts. And you know how many of those are made every year? Like maybe 300, right? Like, and not even that, maybe 250, you know what I mean? So it's like, like what happened to the other, tens of thousands? Was it because they were this? It was because, no, it's just a hard business to make it in. You're dealing with a lot of competition, and you're dealing with a lot of people who know how to do what you know how to do, most of whom probably know how to do it better than you know how to do it. So it's you just have to have thick skin. You gotta be okay with being rejected. And my whole life I was rejected. So you know what I mean? I was rejected, I failed at it. So it's just like, I get rejected. It's just like, all right, whatever. Let's find a different way into the room, find a different way around. And and so
that's awesome, man. No, I love that. That's good stuff, man. What would you say? I mean, you've done so many things, at least up until this point, and I get the feeling you're just warming up. You just unwind and you just get started. What are your proudest moments in life?
Being a father, being a husband and father, having a family. Like at the end of the day, that's the proudest moment of my life, is being in, just being with my kids. And just being able to provide for my kids the life that they have. You know what I mean? They live in a multi-million-dollar home. They go to we have a teacher that comes to the house that teaches them. They, they ride around in nice cars. They have nice clothes. They have all of this, all of this stuff. They have whatever they want. We don't give them whatever they want. I still try to raise them with the way my mom raised me, where they have to earn what they get. But, to be able to provide for them the life that I didn't have, that's the proudest moments of my life, is that, and, just being able to be, faithful to my wife, and, because I'm in LA and there's a lot of temptation. And every time I come home, it's just like, wow, I was 100% faithful to my wife. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's a proud moment to me. You know what I mean? That I was able to hold it down, So yeah, family, just the family life, man, just the family life, because at the end of the day, that's what, that's, after the Lord, that's the most important thing. That's all that matters is family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And giving your kids what they need to get so that they can grow up and be great. I got 3 sons, great men. I have 1 daughter, great woman, and, do great things. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's beautiful. A few closing questions here. What's the hardest lesson you've learned on your journey?
Yeah, I can't think of one. I mean, because I'm always learning lessons all the time, and they're always, most of the lessons I learn are painful. Not, I don't say that meaning in a physical way. I just mean it in a metaphorical way. But those are the lessons that you learn the most. I think so many. Every day I'm learning new lessons.
I think you're like me, dude. Like I'm so inoculated to like trauma and like learning at this point. Like people be like, well, what if like your event fails, or what if this horrible thing that I think is horrible will happen? I'm like, literally, I'm turn the page. I got 9 different things I'm working on right now. Yeah, I'll learn from it. I'll be more dangerous the next lap, and that's it. Like I keep it moving.
100%.
God gives us grace, man.
Yeah. I can't think of. I would just say the lesson that sucks is when people betray you. You know what I mean? I would say that those are hard ones to swallow, and it's just like, oh man, like I thought I could trust this person, but I can't trust this person. And then and then you learn, okay, you can't easily trust people, so I would say trust is, those are always tough lessons to swallow when you put trust in people, especially when for me, I think the toughest ones is veterans, you know what I mean? Where, especially in Hollywood, you know what I mean? Like you're in Hollywood and you meet somebody who's a veteran and they act like they have your best interest in heart. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna walk you down this path. I'm gonna help you with this and that. I'm gonna do this and that. And then they end up burning you or trying to steal your ideas or trying to steal your IP or manipulate you and the stuff. I think, that was, because that's happened a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, with me in the business. And so it's just, I can't trust just because somebody says they're in the military or just because somebody says they're black and I'm your boy and black and all this, or whatever it is, or whatever the case may be. I've been burnt by Christians in the business, bro.
Oh yeah, man. I've seen that.
People are like, oh, I'm a Christian, you're a Christian. And it's funny, like I get messages all the time from people who are just like, oh, I'm a Christian. I see you're a Christian in Hollywood. Like I got this project, it's amazing. I said, the worst thing you could tell me, the worst introduction you can give me is I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I've just found that I've worked with a lot of Christians in business who don't know how to do business and who don't understand business, and they don't do stuff with excellence. So the worst thing you can say to me, your introduction is I'm a Christian, because I'm automatically be like, okay, red flags are going up. Just because I've been burnt by so many Christians, I've been burnt by so many veterans.
Yeah.
I've been burnt by so many people who are of my, tribe, and then they use that to get in, and you realize that it doesn't matter where somebody says they come from or how connected they are to you. You still have to vet them. You still have to go through a vetting process.
100%, man. No, I think just that framework. Starting the relationship off with that framework is mad suspect to me. Like this is how we're gonna, why are you leading with that kind of thing? I think I've experienced it a lot as well, man. On my side, traveling and doing a lot of stuff in that evangelical space and protecting a lot of people in that space. And I really had to separate the business, like church from business. And I watched people try to fuse the two a whole lot. And I've even found working for Christian organizations to be way more problematic. They'd be like, yo, you get your money in heaven. It's like you get paid when you get heaven. We came up with a term called spirit dollars. Like they think they're gonna pay us in spirit dollars, Then just dealing with straight business people, and it's sad, it's sad.
It is.
But that's a leverage point.
A lot of Christians do not have business sense and do not understand.
And the Bible even talks about that, man. He talks about how the pagans understand these things. Better than Christians do sometimes. And
100%.
And that's not all of them, but it's definitely something when I see someone lead with anything like, oh, we're both brothers. Oh, we're veterans. Oh, it's like, no. Show me first You know, show me some fruit, and then we can get to work.
Yeah.
Let's see here. How would you like to be remembered?
I would just say it always comes back to family for me. So just a good husband and father. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. That's the most important thing, especially for my kids.
Yeah.
Like, I want my kids, like, if I was to die, like 5 years from now, a year from now, whatever, I want my kids to be like, man, my dad was a really good dad. You know what I mean? I want that to be something that they remember. And as when they become parents, they're like, you know, they want to be a good dad because I was a good dad. So if there's one, because at the end of the day, like, do I really care how the masses remember me? Not necessarily. You know what I mean? What I care about is how those who are close to me remember me, specifically my kids, because that's what they're going to carry with them for the rest of their life, their memory of their father. So yeah, I just want to be remembered as a really great dad and a great husband.
That's awesome, man. A habit that you think people should consider that makes you a better person or makes them a better person, something that you do in your daily life that you'd like to encourage people to check out.
Well, you know, we talked a lot about faith. So, I mean, I think it's self-explanatory for me, you know, faith, it's a big habit, prayer, you know, reading scriptures. And, but I would so more on something that, you know, more of your audience, assuming that the majority of your audience is not from a faith background, can connect with is, I would say, you know, fitness is a habit, just hitting the gym, because it's so good for your mind. A lot of people don't realize how good it is for your mind, for you to just, you know, get out there and regardless of what your fitness level is and just do something every single day. Stay active, you know what I mean? And you never know. I mean, you talk about this a lot on your you talk about readiness a lot on your social media posts, and it's just like, you never know what type of situation you're going to end up in. You never know, somebody wild person walking down the street is like out of their mind, and they're just going to jump on you and start beating you half to death, right? What are you going to do in that situation? Are you going to be ready? Are you going to, and I don't mean like able to, like in jujitsu and all that, I mean just from the perspective of, are you going to have the endurance to defend yourself, or are you going to be so out of shape and so, you know, so just you know, not fit that you don't last a second and you just got to lay down and die, you know what I mean?
And get taken advantage of, you know?
Yeah, you know, and so it's like, for me, I just think that that's a habit, and that habit came, I mean, through the military, you know what I mean? Because, you know, one thing in the military is you're always working out. And then, you know, you get through boot camp, you're working out, you get into the regular military, you're working out. And then, you know, for me, that gotten to soft, and it's just like, fitness is a part of your life. Like, you cannot be a fat SEAL, you know what I mean? And so it's just one of those things, right? Just like you can't be a fat Marine. I mean, you already know this, and I mean, no offense at all, but that's just the reality of it. And so, like, you know, it's a good habit to have. Because it helps with discipline, you know, it helps with mental toughness, resilience, and all around. I mean, it just helps you feel good about yourself. It gives you more confidence when you take care of yourself and you're fit and you see the fruits of it. It gives you good reference points, and then it's good for your health. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I want to live, you know, long, so that I can see my kids, you know, get married and have kids and all that stuff. And I know it all starts with this habit now of, you know what, I don't feel like working out. I hate working out. I don't hate working out, but I'm just paraphrasing. Somebody might say, there's a lot of times I don't feel like working out. You know, most times I don't feel like working out, and I hate my workouts because my workouts are tough. You know, I have a saying when it comes to fitness: if you're not uncomfortable when you're training, you're not training. And so, but why am I doing this? Because, you know, I want to be healthy. I want to be around for my kids, and I want to be ready in case I get into a situation like, and you know, I see even now, like, I get cast in a lot of these projects because I'm fit, because they want somebody who could, you know, look the part. You know what I mean? And so, like, it like my fitness level affects my bank account.
Literally, man.
Just like you, is, you know, like, if you were out of shape and, like, you know, nobody's going to want to hire you to do security.
No. You gotta sell yourself.
Yeah, maybe CVS, you know, hire you to sit on the chair and do security, but you're not going to get hired for the high end, even from the perspective of what you're doing now at these, you know, these speeches and symposiums that you do. Nobody's going to really take what you say seriously. You're showing up and you're out of shape and you're not fit and you're this and that, and you're talking about it. You know, so it equates to dollars, and I guarantee you, like, obviously there's all these different labor laws and you can't discriminate, but
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's a lot of people that lose jobs.
Don't
And
get hired.
Or don't get hired because they don't fit the part, or somebody looks the part, somebody looks fit. And that equates to, oh, this person is going to work hard. And I'm not saying that this is the right mindset to have. I'm just saying if this happens, oh, this person,
reality.
It comes down to two people who are going to get the job. This person's fit. Okay. I think they'll put on, this person's out of shape, lazy. Like that's the mindset that a lot of people have. This person may be lazy.
Yeah.
Not saying it's right, but when it comes down to business and somebody has to make a decision, like that's more often the decision that they're going to go with, right?
Yeah.
So it does affect. It affects a lot of things. So
yeah.
that's a good habit, I think. And you don't have to be freaking, as fit as me or you, or have muscles popping out, but just
take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Nah, I dig it.
Which is something that our community, African American community, especially with COVID, it was a huge wake up call. Because a lot of people, African Americans who were hit hard by COVID, because a lot of underlying issues, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, just all things that affect our community. And if we took care of ourselves and ate better, you know what I mean, and it would change. So.
No, 100%, man. I completely agree. There's mad science too on the quality of life people live that are more fit, the amount of jobs they get, the quality of relationships they have. Like there's like numbers on it for real.
Depression, not low,
testosterone levels, like hormonal balances. No, that's a fact, man. And I don't want people to get it twisted. When you're working out, you're not just working your physical body, you're working your mind, your emotions, your mind, will, and emotions, your soul, your spirit, your body, everything's getting strengthened. You're learning to be inoculated to stress, it's so important. It prepares you for the battle of life, so no, that's a huge one, man. I can 100% get behind that, man. So man, it's been awesome to sit here and chop it up with you, man. It's an honor, such an honor. I can tell you that you've definitely positively impacted my book, my life with your book, and with your work, man. I'm very proud to be connected with you, and definitely want to contribute and do anything I can to push that stuff forward, because it's good for the world, man. It's good for everybody.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate all you do as well. It's all good intel, and you're helping a lot of people. So thank you for what you do.
No, thank you, man. That's an honor for sure. One last question. What are you up to these days, and where can people find you, man?
Just grinding on these TV shows, and got this movie that I wrote that's got picked up. So grinding on that. My apparel company, KejoWear.com, KEJO Wear, WEAR, KejoWear.com, just launching, that's been launched. So go on that website, grab some cool shirts, male, female, we got it all. If you want something for your kids, I recommend you get a small for your kids, size small for your kids and adults, that'll fit them. Got that going. And what else? I mean, there's a lot of stuff, man.
Do you have like a website that's like the hub for everything that is Remi?
No, just social media. So if you go to Remi Adeleke on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, it's, that's where I kind of drop, that's my easy website. So that's where everything is co-located.
Solid. And then what was the apparel company website was
KEJO, KejoWear, KEJOWEAR, wear.com. And we also have Instagram, KejoWear Instagram, KejoWear Twitter, Facebook.
Solid, brother. And follow this man on IG, y'all. That's where I be following him. You putting out good stuff. So
yes, sir.
Once again, brother, I know you got to get to set, pretty soon here.
I keep the grind going. It never stops.
It doesn't, man. It doesn't. We get, it stops when we die, man. Then we got eternity to do something else. But for now, we hammer it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good to go, man. So thank you once again. Remi. It's an absolute honor, man. God bless you in all you do. And
same.
The next one.
God bless you and the fam, man.
Thanks. You too, brother.
Yes, sir.
Boom. Yo, what up? I hope you guys really enjoyed that episode. Hey, listen, in order to get more out of the brand, I want to encourage you to go join us on our social media platforms and join us at protectornation.com. We post different types of content on our different platforms at different times. You'll get blog posts, you'll get videos, you'll get real world combat engagements and things like that. So stay plugged in order to get the most out of the brand. In order to support us, also go to protectornation.com and buy something, or join forces with me on Patreon. You'll scroll down the homepage and you'll see the link. Anything you can give counts. Think about whatever you would lose in your cushions or like spend on McDonald's this month, $5 a month, whatever it is. That helps us make the world a better place by making good people dangerous. Anyways, this is Byron Rodgers, protector by nature and by trade, and I'll see you on the next piece of content, whether it's a video or podcast. Out.